Tēnā koe, or five of you, tēnā koutou. It's nice to be here with you today on this beautiful Tuesday morning. And I have, as you can see in the post, where is it, up top or down bottom? What I'm here to talk about today is what has the Kai budget and all the recipes and tips I've been giving up in the story. What's that got to do with home ownership? All right, so those of you who follow up in the story is if you click on the logo on my Facebook page, click on the logo, it has a picture of me, click on that, has a circle around it, and that's where stories are, and they only last for 24 hours, okay? And so over the last sort of 7 days, I've been posting cheap ways that we eat and also hoko tips and things like that. These are both very real aspects of preparing for or any financial pursuit. You'll find that wealthy people, I'm not saying I'm wealthy, but I'm literally I've looked at what wealthy people do, and I've watched over the years and decided, well, I'll try some of the strategies that they put in place, and a lot of them don't live extravagantly, and they live quite measured, and then they siphon or push their money and their cash flow and their time through to their assets. And why would they do that? Because assets, once you have them, earn for themselves. And that's how you start getting this financial freedom, right? Where you stop having to go to work. Not that work's a bad thing, okay? But you stop being tied and you must go to work. You stop having that experience and you start being able to have opportunities to earn from income that you generate from your assets. And assets are not just property like whenua. They can be shares, talk to an accountant actually. That's the best advice I can give on that. But in the context of what I talk about, it's whenua. It's property, it's home ownership, it's papakainga, okay? So that's the backstory. Now, in the story, I've been showing how essentially at one stage we would live on about $30 a week. Even when I had my two young kids, my sons, when we had them back to back, about a year apart, and we had a mortgage, and this was about 11, 12 years ago. And way back then, even with two babies under 1.5, both, in nappies and things, we were able to live on $130 a week. That was at that time, $130 a week, toddler, newborn, food, luxuries, everything, 130. Fast forward to now, and I made a post a few days ago on how at one stage we were paying two mortgages, and that would mean that we had to, pay the mortgages first and live on what was left over. So what is the actual point of this? Is it to save the money? Is it to invest the money that you save from not spending it all on Kai? Yes, and kind of. And here's what I mean. I have never saved any money for any of the properties or homes that we've bought. Never. I've always realized that instead of saving money, the money you save from not spending should first of all go to clearing debt. This is because this is a practice that the banks like to see. They don't mind. You can have all the hugest income and you can have, all this equity, but if they see that every time your income goes up, your debt follows in behind, you may as well be a low income earner, right? So it's not how much money you earn, it's the difference in the distance between your debts and your income. And so as your debts go down, that space gets higher, that gets larger. But if your income keeps going up and your debts keep going up, it's not a practice they want to see. So I like to keep my expenditure on food, on Kai, and things like clothing and stuff to a minimum, because that way, if I always keep them here, then over time, as I build my little income streams, those of you who follow me know that what I want to do is I create more income streams rather than get paid more in each job or each contract. It's not about that. It's about being efficient and creating lots of multiple income streams. So as I increase my income streams, okay, I need all my income, my expenses to stay here. And that is because I'm on a plan, a strategy to acquire whenua. for my children, for my business, what have you. And I need that space to get bigger and bigger, that gap. Yeah. So that's one reason. Contain your expenses. You don't have to increase your income, but if you contain your expenses, you're a better proposition for a bank, meaning they would like to give you money, more likely. The other reason, so savings is not really what I do. You divert it to debt, okay, and then you're trying, that's number one. And number two, you're trying to show the bank that I know how to maintain my income, my expenses here, and increase my income here. Okay, so that's objective number two. So objective number three, and kia ora, Benita. Oh, the bomb. Awesome. So the objective number three, which is probably more what it's about, to be honest, is that it's really hard to negotiate with somebody who's used to being hungry. I'll say it another way. It's really hard to negotiate with someone who's used to living on nothing. Say it one more time in another way. It's really hard to negotiate with me because I'm used to going without. So this works in business, and it works personally as well. And it works for me in my pursuit of property. In business or relationships, like people interacting, it tends to be really easy for me to say no to things I don't want to do, or business deals, or like things just don't entice me because you can't hold me by the balls. Can't do it anyway, but there's not really much to negotiate with me. What you going to do? Not give me something? What are you going to do? Not give me, like not be my business partner, not invest in me, not see, like nobody's got anything I want because I'm used to living on very little. So people can't entice me with money, with opportunities, with ideas of like wealth and big, huge business. Yeah, it's not on my kaupapa. That's right, Bronson, can't do it anyway. It was a bad example, wasn't it? Can't hold me by the balls. I'll need another one. But it's a lot easier to stick to your kaupapa and your values when you're used to going without. And it's about training yourself, okay? Training yourself over a long period of time. And then nothing's really all shiny. Oh, that's nice. Don't need money. What are you going to do? I'm used to living on less than the dole. So it makes you resilient, makes you tough. And that's what you need to be to engage in the market. Is you need to be tough. You need to realize that when you go to apply banks, they're going to want to see strictness in your budget, and they want to see that like that. They want to see it 3 months before you're applying. They want to see nice, clean bank accounts that look like you know how to manage your money. And when you go into the market and you have to negotiate on properties and things like that, having that tenacity and that ability to take some ouch factor really does help. So it's about training yourself. That's really what it's about. Yeah, hard to negotiate with somebody who's used to going without. Very difficult to negotiate with someone who's used to doing without money. And it's hard to pressure someone when they're used to doing without luxuries. And it's easier, so some positives, I'll try to put some positive spins there. It's easier to stick to your kaupapa when you are used to being completely self-sufficient and quite resilient financially. And it's easy to ignore distractions that are not for you when you're trained and disciplined to do without excessive and luxury living. And believe it or not, whānau, there is actually quite a bit of luxury living out there, even amongst people who are struggling. That's why I put it out there on exactly how much money we would get by on sometimes, $30, and then how do we feed a family of 3 or 4 on that kind of money. And that's why I wanted to give you that number so that you can think, well, if we're doing $250 a week, there is some fat there. You can cut it out and start siphoning it to your debt. And it can start off with a small amount, such as cut $30 out, $50 out, things like that. A lot of idealism. I'm going to say that it's taken years, like I practice it regularly, and it isn't always nice, and it isn't always pleasant. It can be hard work, and it can make the people who are with you in your whānau feel very uncomfortable. And that's why it's important to decide as a ropu, as a family, which direction you're going. And are you really all on board? Because if you are, there's some discipline and some hard work that goes into that. But once you are, you can navigate the waters quite quickly. And I explained in my last post how living like this is hard on the ongoing, on the regular. You get hangry, hungry, angry. You can constantly feel restricted. And saying that, once you get used to it, when something like COVID hits, our lives were like, oh my God, this is the greatest, because we were already used to it, and we'd already kind of paid down debts and shoveled money aside and things like that. So the opposite happens in times of crisis. These resilient behaviors actually make life easier. And I'm sharing this with you because I don't think that's going to be a one-off. I think we all kind of know that these COVID lockdowns could be more often, could keep going. And if it's not COVID lockdowns, it could be a bit of a recession. Yeah, so that's what I mean by COVID virus is an economic virus. It means that statistics show that we are not likely to catch it in New Zealand. Like, there's a lot of people who've had it, unfortunately, but most of us won't, okay? But all of us will be touched in some way by the economic effects. So I think it's more of a virus of the economy, and that's what we need to prepare for. So while you're still putting on your mask, washing our hands, practicing our good tikanga, let's think of our virus resilience being really watching our budgets, taking part portion of our kai shopping and putting it aside in case, rather than shopping when it's lockdown, buy a proportion of your kai, take that and put it on a shelf every time, and just put it on a shelf, whether it's a can, rice, or flour, and things like that, changing those behaviors. Also, perhaps thinking about selling some of your clothes. I'm doing a bit of a workshop, a bit of a video on how I'm doing that. I've got a whole pile of clothes that I'm listing on a Shopify store. Anybody wants to know what Shopify is? I work for Shopify as well. And loosening up some of your money that is tied up in things, okay? Really tightening up your spending. It'll open up the future for home ownership. It'll give you resilience over the next few months, okay? Kia kaha. So that's my little spiel about kai. What's it got to do with kai, keeping a tight kai budget and training yourself? It is, one, there's a little bit of saving, but that saving can be diverted to debt. 3, it's about having discipline, which allows you, it's hard to negotiate with you and push you around, when you've got the discipline to handle restriction. And 4, it makes your life a lot easier in times of crisis, when we can really have this discipline and flip it around into positive vibes during crisis. Okay, the flow-on effect will also be that you'll be more attractive to a bank for home ownership, for whenua occupation and things like that. Kia ora. So this won't be saved on the page. Okay, this is going to be saved up on my website, or my website, YouTube channel on my website, because it's a nice long one. Anybody who wants to look at it can go over to www.indigenuity.co. Kia ora everybody, and have a great day.